They kicked me out of my own daughter's wedding. Then karma destroyed them. The hotel was everything I had imagined, and everything I didn't belong in. Laughter echoed, glasses clinked, and the smell of expensive perfume filled the air. And then there was me, sitting in the front row, trying not to be seen. I looked down at my hands, rough, burned, covered in scars from 30 years of welding. These hands had built everything my daughter had. Every school fee, every meal, every opportunity. But here, they looked out of place. My suit was rented. It didn't fit properly. I felt like I was wearing someone else's life. So I tried to hide my hands under the table. It didn't work. She noticed me anyway, Mrs. Richard, dressed in diamonds, walking through the crowd like she owned the room. When she stopped near my table, conversations faded. She looked straight at me and smiled, not warmly, not kindly. The kind of smile that makes you feel smaller than you already are. Then she said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "Lynn."
Why is that man sitting here?
The entire room went silent. Hundreds of eyes turned toward me at once. I felt that shift in the air when people stop seeing you as a person and start seeing you as something less. My daughter stood there, frozen, her face pale, her hands trembling slightly as she held her bouquet. But she didn't defend me. She didn't even look at me. She just lowered her eyes and stayed silent. Mrs. Richard let out a soft laugh, then gestured toward me as if I were some kind of exhibit. "Look at his hands," she said. "How can anyone eat comfortably with someone like that sitting here?" A few people chuckled. Most said nothing. No one stopped her. I looked at her husband, hoping he might step in. But Mr. Richard simply sipped his wine, his expression calm, almost amused. That silence told me everything I needed to know. I left my seat soon after. I didn't want to cause a scene or embarrass my daughter any further. But in the hallway, they were waiting. Mrs. Richard crossed her arms the moment she saw me.
You weren't invited, were you?
She asked, her voice cold. I didn't answer. She stepped closer. Don't misunderstand your position. Just because your daughter married into our family doesn't mean you belong here. Then she leaned in slightly, her voice dropping just enough to feel personal. Class is not something you can rent. Before I could respond, I heard footsteps behind me. Lynn. For a brief second, I thought maybe now she would speak up. But instead, she looked at me with something I had never seen before. Embarrassment.
Dad, why didn't you choose something nicer to wear?
She said quietly.
You're making me look bad.
Her words weren't loud, but they hit harder than anything else that day. You should have just stayed home. That was the moment something inside me broke. Not because of what they said, but because of what she didn't. I didn't argue. I didn't defend myself. I simply turned around and walked away. 6 months passed. No calls, no messages. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. Their world had seemed too perfect, too polished. And after working with metal my whole life, I knew one thing. The shinier something looks, the easier it is to hide the rust underneath. So I started digging. And what I found changed everything. Mr. Richard wasn't a successful businessman. He was a fraud. A man who built his wealth on deception, taking money from people who trusted him. The house, the cars, The lifestyle, it was all borrowed, all temporary. A carefully constructed lie. That night, I sat alone in my workshop, staring at my savings. $200,000. 30 years of work. I had saved it for my daughter, to give her a better life. But now I understood something. Giving her that money wouldn't save her. It would only keep her trapped. So I made a decision. I called my lawyer and transferred every dollar into a scholarship fund for students who wanted to learn a trade, who wanted to build something real with their own hands. 1 week later, everything collapsed. Authorities stormed Richard's office. Accounts were frozen. The man who once looked down on me was led away in handcuffs, his perfect image shattered. And Mrs. Richard, the woman who had called me disgusting, stood outside her home as it was taken from her. That same night, my phone rang. It was Lynn. She was crying so hard she could barely speak. "Dad, please, I need your help," she said. "They took everything. I have nothing left." Then came the question I already knew she would ask. "You still have the money, right?" I stood there in silence for a moment, listening to the sound of her voice. Then I answered calmly, "You should ask the people you chose over me." I hung up. A year later, I stopped by a construction site near the coast. And that's where I saw them again. Mrs. Richard sat on the ground, her clothes covered in dust, her face unrecognizable without luxury. And beside her was Lynn, wearing a worker's uniform. Her hands were no longer soft. Small scars had begun to form, marks of someone learning what it means to build something from nothing. She saw me. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then she looked down at her hands and back at mine. And this time she didn't turn away. She simply nodded, not with pride, not with shame, but with understanding. I didn't step out of the car. I just smiled and drove away. Because in the end, the greatest revenge isn't destruction. It's letting people face the truth of who they've become and understand what they lost. Real class isn't what you wear, it's what you can build. When everything's taken away,